Hey, coach. Hey, coach. Can you hear me okay, first of all?
Yes.
Okay. I'm curious, how would the GM version of Derek Fisher rate the head coach version of Derek Fisher this season?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll need some time, I guess, to review the season. Have the appropriate conversations as a staff. Um, and then go from there. I mean, I don't know if rating anything or anybody really, matters at this point. I think we all just recognize that we have to come back and be better, individually and collectively. And, that's what our focus is going to be. Um, Appreciate our players' effort, here this evening. Had a chance in a hostile environment against a good playoff team and, had an opportunity late in the game to maybe have a chance. So, the rating thing, that's, I guess, your guys' job. I don't really approach what I try to do from that perspective. But we'll learn from this and we'll be better moving forward.
Tucanino and LA Times.
Hi, Derek. So what was the plan for that final play? What did you have drawn up for that?
I mean, it was just a variation of a similar action we had run out of bounds possession a little bit earlier. And the second time just altered it a little bit. And we didn't execute it cleanly the way it was designed. It was a last little screening action there between Erica and Neka that wasn't as clean as it needed to be. And so, we ended up not necessarily getting a great look, but, late in the game like that, it's always going to be hard to get great looks most of the time. Great players just have to figure out how to make a play at that point once the ball is in most of the time. But it was a variation of action we had run a little bit earlier in that quarter.
David Yapkowitz.
We were going to go for the three if we had it, or if and Amanda was open for a quick two as well, but she was kind of moving away from the basket more so than going to the rim. And Nia's eyes were on Neka for the most part. So that was about it.
David Yapkowitz, Next Hoops.
Hey, Coach. Even though, you had your chances there at the end, that third quarter, I think it was, they ended it on something like a 16-4 run or something like that. How much of a factor did that kind of play into how the outcome of the game turned out? Is this something that, maybe you were with only 8 players available, that, the weight of the season and the injuries that you've gone through, that fatigue may have played a little bit of a factor in there?
I mean, maybe fatigue's part of sporting competitions, so it's the players and teams that learn how to play through it and still execute. We had some unforced errors offensively, where we, made some mistakes with the ball that we didn't have to make. And, defensively, they got really, really aggressive in just driving the ball to the basket. We couldn't stay in front of people. And, that's when that run started to happen, at that point in the third. So, but again, you're playing on the road against a playoff team, in this type of game. There are going to be runs, that happen. So they made their run, we responded, and, we still were within a possession or two, with a minute to go in the game, and, just couldn't get it done.
Miriam Swanson, LA Daily News.
Hey, Derek. Obviously, you guys, gave yourself a chance down the stretch here this last week and even today. And it's all very fresh, but sort of, how are you guys feeling? How are you processing this? Like, how do you kind of go about this right now?
I mean, I think, obviously our players are disappointed. But we really just try to immediately make sure that we recognize this as a learning opportunity, that we're all going to grow from and get better from. Um, there are a lot of reasons why we were in this position today, and it's always easy to look at the last possession in the game or the fourth quarter in the game, or this 1-2 minute stretch in the game. But this is a 32 game season, so as much as it was about today, it really wasn't about today. It was about the 31 games prior to now. The habits and details that you have coming into today that we have to work to improve on. So I'm hoping that's the way we're going to process it, and we're just going to come back bigger, better, and stronger. That's what we talked about. That's what the plan will be, and that's what we're going to execute on.
Michael Burns, Winsider.
Hey, Coach. Obviously, not the result we all hoped for tonight, but we saw a lot of veteran leadership and an impressive performance out of NECA tonight. Through so much turbulence this year, what has her leadership and her consistency meant for your group?
NECA's, the foundation of where we're going and where we're headed. We recognize that, and I think her intestinal fortitude, her mental and physical toughness is, oftentimes what keeps us together. She, I think in a lot of ways, because of her ability to kind of persevere through anything and everything, she just still doesn't really get the credit and the respect that she deserves. Again, 36 minutes and 45 seconds and no free throw attempts today. In no damn way you can tell me that at no point when she was going to the basket attempting the shot, that at no point did she get touched or grabbed or hit on the arm. That nobody can convince me of that. So but that's NECA, right? And even though those things don't happen for her, she still finds a way to come back and be consistent and do whatever her team needs to do. And that's why we're building this group around her and with her. And she's going to come back and be even better than she was this year. To be honest, like, her season was hijacked by the injury that happened the last time we were here in Dallas, and she missed the majority of this season. For her to have a healthy off season and, come back strong and ready to go next year, that's going to be fun to see.
Last question for Coach. We'll end with the in-person media there in Dallas.
To piggyback on what you were saying about the calls, do you feel that the calls were even throughout the game? There were a lot of calls that was controversial on Cooper that the crowd kind of disagreed with, along with a few of the media.
Yeah, I mean, officiating is subjective. It's not an easy job. So, and there are calls missed on both sides. I'm sure there are some calls that referees missed when we may have fouled somebody or done something and the whistle didn't blow. So that's just a part of it. There were a couple calls late there in that quarter to play with the ball going out of bounds, and the push was called on Sykes. There wasn't a push there, but that's the way we see it. I think the thing that, we talked about again after this game is, like, we have to be so good that it doesn't come down to those things. And that's the way we need to look at this. Like, our season, whether we win a game or not, we can't leave it up to anybody else but us. And so that's the way we're going to approach this off season, and find a way to come back and separate ourselves in a way that doesn't allow anybody to take anything away from us, because we're going to have such tight hold on it that it'll be clear what our intentions are.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks.
Questions for NECA. We'll start with Miriam Swanson, LA Daily News.
Hey, NECA, it's been such a turbulent season for all you guys with injuries and just everything. But I guess at this point that you guys had a shot at the end, I mean, does that lift you guys at all, or how are you processing this?
I mean, I think that I'm proud of how we played, most certainly. But I think it's more about understanding the opportunity that we have, you know, even given all things, we still had a chance. And for us to fight in that way, I think it's definitely a mark of the team that we want to have, the organization that we want to have. And so staying together and understanding that, you know, everything we do in the season and in the off season is for the team.
Michael Matthew, Good News Network. Michael, are you there? We'll go to Kahari Jones Jr., LA Sentinel.
Hey, what's going on, Nectar? Coach Fisher, I praise your leadership and your resiliency through all the challenges throughout the season and even in this game. You know, can you elaborate on just you feel like this leadership, your leadership and the challenges you all went through this season set the foundation for the future?
Yeah, I mean, you know, for me, being on like what is like a totally different team from what I'm used to is something that I had to kind of lean into. I had to find a new part of myself. And then also with getting injured and all the national team stuff, it's just interesting how it all happened in the same year. So I really had to dig deep into, you know, like my worth individually and my worth on the Sparks and just like as a player and a person. And I think that that really helped me understand what's important. And I really just want to be able to be, you know, that super vet for my teammates. I love playing the game for the intangibles. I've said this since I entered the league. I've said this in college. That's what I play for. So even with the stakes tonight, how I play should never change. I approach every game as though it's a game that has to be won no matter what's going on. And I want to hopefully instill that culture in the team. And through the challenges that I experienced this year, I hope that I did my best to still be there for my team throughout the season.
Couple more tonight for NECA. We'll go to Michael Burns with Winsider.
Hey, NECA. Obviously not the result that you guys are all hoping for tonight, but couldn't help but notice your amazing shooting performance this evening, 4 for 5 from 3. Had only put in 7 until tonight on the season. Is that something that you're going to continue to focus on this offseason and heading into next year?
I mean, that's something that I had worked on the 10 weeks that I was out. I mean, I knew that I could shoot the 3 even before I got injured. And I'm just glad that I was able to recognize what they were giving me today and not fall into the trap of things not going my way initially. You know, as long as I'm out there, there's an opportunity. And I'm really grateful to have a coaching staff that really wants to see my game evolve. And I'm glad that I was also able to have the confidence to do that tonight. And it's, in my opinion, like me shooting that way it shouldn't be a surprise, but I guess like what is surprising is that I shot 5 threes and I don't typically shoot that many, but it's amongst one of the things that of course I'm going to continue to work on in the off season.
Last one for this evening, David Yapkowitz with the Next.
Hey, NECA. I mean, this team's been, you know, this was a fairly young team this year. I think maybe, you know, in the first half of the season and then maybe even a month ago, you know, after that tough road trip, you know, it may have been tough to imagine that here at the end of the year, you'd have a chance to get into the playoffs. Just with the way the group responded, you know, the win against Seattle, the win against Atlanta, you were in this game up until the very end, you know, on the road in a hostile environment. Just did you learn, or what did you learn about this team's mental toughness and what you think, you know, you can carry, you know, heading forward?
You know, I think what I learned most is that we have, you know, like you said, a younger generation of players coming in and ultimately carrying a lot of these teams. I mean, the team we lost to today, I know they don't like talking about it, but it's amazing what they do with I guess the less league experience than other teams. They, you know, they've decided to be mature about how they play. And I think that's something that we can learn. When everything was at stake, we saw it. Like you said, we saw it these last couple of weeks. And we just have to understand that every game is at stake. And that's the maturity, that's the focus, that's the investment, that's the camaraderie that needs to be more consistent and will be.
Thanks, NECA.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.